Abortion, one word, 8 letters. This word looks very simple, but it is very complex, just like another 8-letter words. Guess what it is? Yes, you guessed it right. It's religion. Today, we're going to read a very important topic, which is not just important for UPSC aspirants, but I feel this is important for each and every individual. Okay, so have you ever thought why this word, why abortion, is a very sensitive and a very less talked topic? Today, let me try and clear the fog around it. Hello everyone, welcome to Guidance IAS. And today we are going to cover a very, very important topic. Let me start it with a story. Let me begin our today's topic with a story. So, this is the story of Savita Allapannawar. She was a dentist of Indian origin living in Ireland. One day what happened, she had a very severe back pain. She rushed to the hospital. Or hospital पहुंचने के बाद doctor said that everything is normal and she came back home. Right? After coming back, she went to the washroom and she realized that something definitely is wrong with her. She rushed back again to the hospital and there she found कि उनकी 17-week की pregnancy का miscarriage हो चुका है. She asked the doctors for the abortion, but doctors denied abortion, quoting that since Ireland is a Catholic country, our laws do not permit us for the abortion. And after few days, Savita died of sepsis. Sepsis is blood poisoning. And it took Savita's death for Ireland to repeal its abortion laws. ऐसे ही कुछ abortion laws के बारे में आज हम पढ़ेंगे. So, our today's approach would be, we will first understand what is the context जिसके बारे में हम पढ़ रहे हैं. Then we will understand what precisely abortion is. We will also understand the origin and the present verdict which just came in US, जिसकी वजह से this topic is in news. And then we will also try to analyze the differences between Roe versus Wade case, which we will cover, do not worry. And the difference between Roe versus Wade and the present judgment which just came in 2022 in US, and I will also try to burst some of the myths around abortion. Along with that, we will also discuss some of the impacts of the present judgment, and definitely UPSC का कोई भी topic complete नहीं हो सकता until and unless we read about the Indian context. So we will also read about India's MTP, which is Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. So let's just start. First thing first, what is the context of the present topic? Actually, in 1973, what had happened? 1973, I'm talking about United States of America. In 1973, in USA, there was a judgment which gave women a constitutional right of abortion. But recently, what has happened on 24th June 2022, what has happened, this judgment of 1973 is overturned, which means that now the females of that country do not have the right of abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. And do you know that until 6 weeks, most of the women do not even recognize their pregnancies? So this is the high time that we talk about it, that we talk about this topic. So let me first begin with defining abortion. Abortion, in simple words, is ending pregnancy. How is it done? It is done using medication or surgery. Is it painful? Yes, it is very painful, and that is why every woman take each and every precautions so that they do not have to undergo abortion in their life ever. But you see, unwanted pregnancies are also a reality. It could be because of a rape. It could be because of contraceptive failures. So, yeah, this was about the context, but the next thing which we are going to talk is about the origin of Roe versus Wade. So what is this Roe versus Wade ka judgment? It can be divided into two parts or two stages, you can say. One stage belonged to 1969 and the other stage belonged to 1973. Okay, 1969 में what happened? You all must have heard of a state in US called Texas. तो Texas ने abortion laws को ban कर दिया in 1969 और उन्हीं laws को challenge किया वहाँ की एक lady ने जिनका नाम था रो, right? उसको challenge किया. But वहाँ के जो attorney general थे जिनका नाम था वेड और हेनरी वेड, उन्होंने रो की पिटिशन को डिनाई कर दिया, विच मीन्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट अबॉर्शन के लिए नहीं दिया गया. बट अगेन प्ली फाइल हुई इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन द ईयर 1973, एंड इन 1973 दिस हिस्टोरिकल जजमेंट केम विच गेव वुमेन्स द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट फॉर अबॉर्शन, राइट. और इसी जजमेंट के दौरान सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑल्सो सेड दैट this will be the constitutional right, ठीक है. And of course there were a lot of provisions and those technical things also they've mentioned, but we are not going there. हमारे लिए इतना ही जानना बहुत है for our examination perspective that what is Roe and Wade case is related to, right? Okay. और इसकी वजह से, क्योंकि इस डिसीजन को अभी 1973 वाले डिसीजन को अभी ओवरटर्न कर दिया गया है, वी हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट गोइंग अराउंड इन अमेरिका, नॉट जस्ट इन अमेरिका बट अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. सो या what after that? Okay, अभी ये judgment overturn हो चुका है, but overturn होने के बाद there are some states, we all know that there are 50 states in United States of America, and there are some institutes there are some reports which says that out of those 50 states there are 26 states which will implement this ban. जो अभी ban recent judgment में आया है, they're going to implement this, like for example states like Texas, right? States like Mississippi, they are going to implement this ban. But along उसके अलावा भी there are certain states जो अभी नहीं इस ban को implement करने वाले हैं. Those could be New Mexico, Colorado, right? These are some of the states जो आपको blue color में दिखाई दे रहे हैं. They are not expected to ban an abortion within a year, but they can also do maybe after a year. But अभी के लिए, and even out of these 26 states, there are 13 such states जो कि बहुत quickly इस ban को implement करने वाले हैं, right? Up next, we have is the difference. We also must understand this topic with the biological perspective, that is, what is the difference between the Roe versus Wade judgment and present judgment. Roe versus Wade judgment में जो provisions आए थे और जो अभी overturn करने के बाद चीज़ें differ करी हैं, what is the exact biological differences in that? So what happened in 1973 in Roe versus Wade judgment, कि first trimester में abortion was allowed. Okay, second trimester में there were certain legal conditions, but it was still allowed even in the second trimester. In third trimester, Roe versus Wade में भी in 1973 वाला जो case था I'm talking about, in third trimester it was not allowed. Definitely there were certain exceptions कि अगर mother की life को threat है या फिर कोई rape survivor है, तो exceptions तो definitely exceptions वाले cases फिर भी allowed थे, but still third trimester में it was not allowed. But what happened now? What happened on the 24th June 2022 कि फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में भी जो अलाउड थे अबॉर्शंस उसको भी बैन कर दिया गया है. लाइक आई हैव टोल्ड यू, दे हैव बैन्ड इट आफ्टर 6 weeks ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी, right? So first trimester maybe it is not allowed now. This is the biological definition you must remember for your examination perspective. Now let us try and understand some of the impacts of this entire judgment. सबसे पहला impact होगा marginalized groups पे. We all know कि कोई भी ऐसा judgment आता है और या फिर किसी भी country के marginalized groups होते हैं, उनको हेल्थ केयर एक्सेस ऑलरेडी काफ़ी कम होता है, राइट? एंड आफ्टर सच काइंड ऑफ जजमेंट्स, बी इट इन एनी कंट्री, दे विल बी more like impacted through these kind of judgments. Second is maternal death. UNFPA, which is United Nations Fund for Population Activity, and WHO, that is World Health Organization, these two bodies, they have recently came up with this reports which says that around 45% of the abortions are unsafe, leading to the maternal death, and also definitely the which, like they say, unsafe abortions are also going to increase through these if countries keep on putting such kind of restrictions. Next we have is domino effect. Domino effect मतलब suppose ये अभी judgment आया है, इस judgment की वजह से बाकी और जो judgments है, like for example same sex marriage is a issue which is again a very sensitive issue. So there are possibilities कि इस judgment की वजह से ऐसे sensitive issues पर भी impact पहुंचेगा और लोगों को और ज़्यादा problem होगी. Next is travel issues. Like I've told you कि there are certain states जहाँ पर ये abortion ban हो गया है, but there are still certain states जहाँ पर ये abortion ban नहीं है. So of course अगर किसी को abortion कराना है, if any female has to undergo abortion, she needs to travel from that state to a state where it is legal, right? So of course if she'll travel, it will be hectic for us, very for her, very hectic emotionally, financially, in every way it will be very hectic for her, right? So these are some of the impacts and some of the consequences of this present judgment, right? Now I think the most interesting slide we have is this one, wherein I'll be bursting some of the myths around abortion. Myth number 1: some people believe that women commonly experience feeling of intense grief, regret or depression after abortion. This is what the myth says. Rather, the fact states that, or the evidence suggests that the majority of women do not regret having an abortion, and those who campaign against legal abortion often talk about something called post-abortion stress syndrome, a disorder that is not evidence-based. Okay? So what evidence is suggesting that nothing like that, nothing sort of depression or something happens. In fact, opposite of this happens कि अगर उनको abortion नहीं कराने दिया जाएगा, so it might lead to their depression. Next myth is there are some people which are of the opinion that no one would have an abortion if they knew what it was like to have a child. But the report says and the fact says that 59% of the abortion patients are already mothers, so they of course know how it feels like having a child. Okay? They are very much emotionally aware about that thing. Next, myth number 3: women who choose abortion will regret their decision. The fact or the evidence says that 95% of the women who have abortion says that they made the right choice. So there's nothing like regretting their decisions. Myth number 4: the majority of Americans want to ban abortion. The facts and the evidences and the reports says that 70% of the Americans believe the women I'm talking about, including mothers, should have access to safe and legal abortions, and this is definitely the need of the hour, right? So these were some of the myths. There is another myth I want to talk about, that there are people who says ki while undergoing abortion the fetus feels pain, but there are biological evidences to prove this thing also wrong, because it says the doctors says and the reports says ki any sensation or any kind of pain to the fetus can only happen after 26 weeks of pregnancy, and we all know that the upper limit of the abortion is 24 weeks of pregnancy. So there is no chance of fetal any kind of fetal pain, right? All right. So last topic of last slide of this topic is MTP Act of 1971, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. I will try and cover certain differences between 1971 judgment and 2021 amendments. The first thing, actually, if we talk about the origin of it, 1971 se pehle in our country, in India, abortions were not allowed. In fact, it used to be a criminal offense. But after 1971, we allowed it to, with a lot of, you can say provisions or clauses. We allowed it with a lot of clauses. So the first one is it only applied to married women. Only married women could undergo abortion after 1971 Act of MTP Act, right? Then if we talk about the gestational limit, it used to be 20 weeks for all indications, right? And medical practitioner jo chahiye hota tha, jinke opinions chahiye hote the, was one RMP or registered medical, RMPs, registered medical practitioners. एक आरएमपी की ओपिनियन चाहिए होता था अगर 12 वीक की प्रेगनेंसी को टर्मिनेट कराना है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट 2 RMPs वर रिक्वायर्ड अगर 20 वीक्स की प्रेगनेंसी को टर्मिनेट कराना है, राइट? एंड इफ ब्रीच ऑफ वुमेन कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी अगर होता था तो 1000 रुपीज़ का फाइन भी लगता था. बट व्हाट द अमेंडमेंट सेज, 2021 में कुछ अमेंडमेंट्स हुए वेयर इन नाउ इवन द अनमैरिड वुमेन्स आर अलाउड टू अंडरगो द अबॉर्शन, ओके? एंड देन जेस्टेशनल एज लिमिट जो है उसको भी इंक्रीज कर दिया गया है. नाउ इट इज 24 वीक्स फॉर रेप सर्वाइवर एंड बियॉन्ड 24 वीक्स ऑल्सो इट इज अलाउड अंडर एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टांसेस, लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल फॉर अगर कोई फीटल एबनॉर्मेलिटी है या फिर मदर की लाइफ को थ्रेट है, सो इट इज अलाउड इवन देन. All right, RMPs की जो permission है, that will be required. One RMP will be required if the pregnancy is still 20 weeks, and 2 RMPs will be required if the pregnancy is still 20 to 24 weeks, and medical board approval की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी अगर हमने 24 weeks के बाद abortion कराना है तो, right? If we talk about the breach of women confidentiality, then there will be a fine and there will be an imprisonment also of 1 year. So they have increased the fines and the punishments as well, right? So this was about a very important and I think a sensitive topic, abortion. Up next, the next topic we have is draft protection and enforcement of interest in aircraft objects bill 2022. Let us, keeping our approach same, let us first try and understand the context of it, and then we will understand about this particular bill, its origin and everything, the provisions. The context is, recently Ministry of Aviation has sought stakeholders comments कि आप ये जो हमने बिल लेके आए हैं इस पे आप कुछ कमेंट्स करिए. अब ये बिल क्या कहता है और ये बिल का ओरिजिन क्या है, ये बिल का हिस्ट्री क्या है, वो हम देखेंगे, राइट? सो इन 2001 there was a bill which came in Cape Town. उसका नाम था The Convention on International Interest in Mobile Equipments and Protocol on Matters Specific to Aircraft's Equipment, right? Cape Town Conference, I mean Cape Town Conference में आया था, not in Cape Town, it was adopted at Cape Town Conference in 2001. What exactly happened, इसमें actually जो leasing companies होती हैं, like for example, we know कि अगर Indigo is a flying company, but Indigo अपने आप airline bodies, airplane की bodies नहीं बनाती हैं, ठीक है? वो भी किसी से लेती है and it put its Indigo tag on it, ठीक है? तो जो leasing companies होती हैं उनके लिए ये this bill actually talks about. What exactly it talks about? So it will help the leasing companies to repossess or transfer the planes out of India in case of financial dispute. This point you need to remember. If there is any financial dispute, this bill will help them, right, with an Indian airline. Okay, at a time many regional airlines have been refused planes on rent. So this bill basically is what, if we summarize, it is just it intends to basically standardize the transaction involving the movable property. Now what is movable property? Is bill ke according there are 4 things which comes under movable property. First is of course the aircraft equipments, whatever the equipments are used in aircraft comes under movable property and hence comes under this bill as well. Next is rolling railway stock. Next is space assets. This you have to remember, even space assets comes under the movable property according to this bill. Next we have mining, agriculture and construction equipment. So even the construction equipments comes under the movable property of this particular Cape Town bill, right, of 2001. So this was about this particular topic. Up next we have anti-defection law. Recently our vice president has asked to fill the loopholes present in the anti-defection law. That is why it is in news, and not just that, it remains in news due to a lot of reason. We keep on reading about anti-defection law. It is a very important topic. Static, current, dono hi काफी important hai. So you must prepare it well for your examination. So let me first brief you about what exactly anti-defection law is. So in 1967, you all must have heard of a slogan which came in 1967, which was Aaya Ram Gaya Ram. Actually, what had happened, there was an MLA of Haryana. He actually changed his loyalties to 3 parties in a single day, and that is when we felt that there is a strong need to stop all these activities. And our country anyways has a historical background of this thing of political defection, so we had to come up with certain laws. So what happened in 1985, through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, 52nd CA, that is Constitutional Amendment Act, we came up with this laws. Let me try and cover some of the important provisions of this. So anti-defection, right? came in 85, 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, we have already covered. The first provision is that who will be removed from a party. The first is if a member voluntarily gives up, right? He will be defected under this law. Second, it says, you all must have heard of this name called party whip. Agar party whip के according या फिर party whip के directions के according, if the person or if the member doesn't vote, would be disqualified. Sorry, this is D, would be disqualified. Right? I feel provisions say zyada important. There are exceptions, which is important in this chapter. Exception says there's one very, there are other exceptions too, but there is one very important exception which I'm going to tell you, is the exception of 2/3. So if the 2/3 of the members of a party merges with some other party, will not be accountable under this anti-defection law or will not be disqualified. ठीक है? और इन्हीं सब चीज़ों को हम क्रिटिसाइज भी करते हैं. They also says कि अच्छा wholesale defection is allowed, but what if why a single person can't join the other party, right? What if he has the genuine reasons to join the other party, right? So all these things keeps coming. Also, if you ask who decides on this, so it is the presiding officers, right? Presiding officers means Lok Sabha mein we have speaker and Rajya Sabha mein we have chairman. So they are the deciding authorities who will be deciding whether a person will be defected under this law or not, right? So यही कुछ loopholes हैं और यही कुछ important चीज़ें हैं जो anti-defection से related हैं, and it keeps coming, right? So this was it. I want all of you to prepare this chapter really well from your polity book. Okay. Up next we have Pradhanmantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana. Pradhanmantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana. If you can remember this one tagline from this particular topic, तो ये topic आपका वैसे ही तैयार हो जाएगा. अब दवाइयाँ हुई सस्ती, ठीक है? This इससे you could connect. You'll be able to remember this actually. कि this particular thing, this particular scheme is about making the generic medicines affordable, providing a quality medicines, reducing the out of pocket expenditure of the citizens of our country. So basically, recently what has happened, our government has a target to increase the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendras to 10,000 by 2024. This is the target, and इसीलिए ये news में था. If we talk about the scheme, I have already told you it is for what? It is for providing affordable and quality medicine. So these two words you need to remember: affordable plus quality. Medicines should be available to each and every person of our country. This is the aim behind this particular scheme. उसके अलावा key features की अगर हम बात करें, so this is basically to reduce the out of pocket expenditure, which is one of the highest in our country. Out of pocket expenditure हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा है. इसी चीज़ को reduce करने के लिए भी ऐसी schemes we keep introducing. So that is all you need to remember, nothing more than that. Up next we have IT Rules 2021. Recently कुछ sites को ban किया है, and some of the sites belong to Pakistan, some of the sites belong to other countries. And so why did we you can say ban or remove them? Actually, there were some sites which were spreading communal disharmony, or you can say they were disturbing the public order, right? Spreading the fake news and a lot of things. So we had to ban them under this, using this law, using this Act of 2021. What this IT Rule 2021 says, so the first clause of this rule, it talks about that it mandates a grievance redressal system. It mandates a grievous redressal system of every OTT and social media platforms, right? Second, it says that social media to appoint a chief compliance officer who should be in touch with the law enforcement agencies so that each and every law could be enforced on टाइम. तो चीफ कंप्लायंस ऑफिसर लॉ एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसी के टच में होने चाहिए एंड एवरी सोशल मीडिया एजेंसी शुड appoint him, right? Then a grievance officer should also be appointed by any OTT or social media platform so that the grievances or the complaints could be addressed within 20, not addressed, they should be, you can say, received within 24 hours, like properly, they should be dealt with, right? Next is removal of the content. Suppose if there is some content available in the at the social media which you can say harms the dignity of a person, especially the dignity of a woman, should be removed from that platform within the 24 hours of that post. This is what the IT rules of 2021 says. Next, we have monthly report. Monthly report, which means that every social media or every platform needs to provide this monthly report wherein they need to mention that how much grievances they have received and how much grievances they have solved, or how many complaints they have actually addressed. So the status of everything, the status of the grievances should be submitted by each and every social media platform, right? So these are some of the important points you need to remember, very important points for your mains perspective. All right. Up next, we have basic structure and the Keshwananda Bharati case, a very, very important topic. Let us first try and understand the context, and then we will directly jump to the static portion of it, which is really important. Recently, Chief Justice and 12 judges of the Supreme Court assembled to deliver the most important judgment in the history. The case of Keshwananda Bharati versus State of Kerala has been heard for 68 days and argument commencing on so this has happened exactly 49 you can say years ago, इसीलिए ये न्यूज़ में था. And I think this is one such topic which is evergreen, और अगर ये न्यूज़ में नहीं भी है, even then it is important. So I feel there are certain topics in every subject, you can say, which are really, really important. आपको वो न्यूज़ में हो चाहे ना हो, you must prepare them. This is one such case wherein you have to prepare. This is Keshwananda Bharati case. So I'll tell you a little bit, the historical background of it. So for that, you need to go back to 1963s, I guess, wherein the Kerala government came up with Kerala Land Reforms Act of 1963. Okay, in land reforms के according, in land reforms में क्या था कि they actually put a restriction on the usage of land, कि कौन कितना land use कर सकता है, ये reforms उस पे restrictions लगाते हैं, ठीक है. और इन्हीं land reforms को use करके this Kerala government, they actually acquired certain lands, और उन्हीं लैंड्स में से जो इन्होंने एक्वायर करी थी, एक लैंड इन्होंने एक्वायर करी जो कि एक मठ से बिलोंग करती थी, और उसी मठ के जो हेड थे वो थे केशवानंद भारती, राइट. ही वाज ऑफ द ओपिनियन दैट माय फंडामेंटल राइट, या फिर हमारे जो पूरे मठ के फंडामेंटल राइट्स हैं उनको वायलेट किया गया है, बिकॉज उनकी एक्चुअली वो लैंड एक्वायर करने के बाद उनको काफ़ी ज़्यादा इकोनॉमिकल लॉसेज होने लगे, राइट. एंड दे फाइल्ड अ केस अगेंस्ट इट, quoting that it is the violation of our fundamental rights under Article 14, under Article 19, under Article 25, under Article 26, right? I think I don't need to tell you what does these article contains. It's very easy. So finally, he filed a case. So when all of this was happening, there were certain other cases जो कि चल रहे थे उसी टाइम पे, like for example bank nationalization case, wherein two very important bodies were in power struggle. और वो कौन दो important bodies थी? First is Supreme Court and second is Parliament. Right? These were the two important bodies which were in power struggle. So what exactly happened? Parliament actually, let me just write it for you. Yeah. So Parliament was of the opinion, Parliament says that under article or using article 368, we have the right to amend any provision of the constitution, right? Wherein Supreme Court in Golaknath case put some restrictions over it, right? Supreme Court was of the opinion that no, you do not have any absolute right to amend any provision you want to, right? And in order to overturn, or you can say overcome this Supreme Court's judgment, Parliament came up with certain. So as you can see, the power struggle between the two bodies, and it keeps happening. It happens even today. It used to happen then, it happens even today. So to overcome the Supreme Court's judgment, Parliament came up with certain amendments. What are those amendments? I will divide those amendments into three parts, or the three amendments you could say. Parliament came up with CAA, which is Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, Constitutional Amendment Act number 24, number 25, and 29. Right? What does Amendment Act of 24th Amendment Act says? 24th Amendment Act says that Parliament has to amend any provision they want using Article 368. Right? Okay. What does Constitutional Amendment Act or 25th Amendment Act says? It talks about that Parliament has the right to curtail the right to property, to curtail the right to property. And not just this, government can acquire any land it wants, and uska jo compensation kisi bhi land owner ko milna chahiye will be decided by the Parliament only, not by the Supreme Court or any other body. This is what this amendment talks about. What does Amendment 29 Constitutional Amendment says? It says it talks about putting certain you can say provisions under 9th schedule. And we all know how dangerous this 9th schedule is. We all must have read about it. It actually provides immunity to be reviewed. Right? It provides immunity to be reviewed. जो भी प्रोविजन इस स्केड्यूल के अंदर जाएगा, इट प्रोवाइड्स द इम्यूनिटी. हालांकि वो बाद में जाके चेंज हो गया था, बट वी विल स्टिक टू आवर टॉपिक केशवानंद भारती केस. तो बेसिकली दिस एंटायर केस वाज, जो इसका जो बेसिक मुद्दा था वाज दिस ओनली कि ओके, पार्लियामेंट to, if Parliament has the right to amend the fundamental rights, and if it has, then to what extent the Parliament can amend the fundamental rights. This was the major thing in the entire case, right? I hope this case is clear to you now, and I am sure you'll read more about it, but just to give you a brief historical background of it, I hope it helped. Next is Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code, UCC. Article 44, sabne suna hoga. We all know that in our country we have same criminal laws across the countries, but when we talk about the civil laws, or when we talk about the personal laws, like for example the laws related to the marriage or divorce, we do not have similarity in the laws. Rather, we have different laws across different religion. This is precisely Uniform Civil Code talks about, wherein it says that there should be a uniform laws when it comes to the civil matters across the country, right? A secular republic needs a common law. But again, we know there are certain, there are people who are against it. So there are many criticism also about this topic, along with certain constitutional hurdle. What is that constitutional hurdle? You all must have heard of article number 25. So what happens under article 25? It talks about propagation and practice of one's religion, right? We have the right to, propagate and practice whatever religion we want, which is, and however we want, which is in conflict with article 14. right, which talks about equality. So this is one major constitutional hurdle when we talks about the implementation of UCC, that is Uniform Civil Code. And not just this, there are certain some critiques which are of the opinion, I mean, they say that India is such a diverse country, we have such a big diversity which should not be compromised, right? And hence this particular code is not really desirable as you know, at this point of time especially. So these are some of the things, but just yeah, so I think the entire thing is clear to you. 44 article है क्या Uniform Civil Code, and what are the following? What are some of the complications it has? What are some of the constitutional hurdles it has? ठीक है, कुछ positives भी हैं कि अच्छा same law होगा across the countries. कुछ criticisms भी हैं कि करना क्यों है, या फिर you know, it is not aligned with the some of the constitutional articles as well. Moving ahead with our next topic, that is sedition. Again, a very important law, a very important topic. काफ़ी बार न्यूज़ में होता है अब तो, बहुत ही ज़्यादा आई थिंक हम लोग यूज़ करने लगे हैं इसको. पीपल, आई मीन द अथॉरिटीज़ हैव स्टार्टेड यूजिंग इट अ लॉट, सो it remains in news all the time. So NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, he has you know, again he asked, or he, you can say, talked to repeal the law. ठीक है, so yeah, before we jump into the arguments which support sedition law under Article 124A, ठीक है, and we will definitely also see the comments, or you can say the points which are against it. But before that, we must first understand कि what exactly sedition law is. Actually, इसमें बहुत कुछ important words हैं which you must remember. I'll just read it for you, and I want all of you to pay a little attention here, as each and every word is really important here. So it states that whoever by word, either spoken or written, so it could be either you're speaking it or you're writing it, or signs, you can't even make signs, ठीक है, तभी भी आप, you know, you can be held guilty under this law by visible representation or otherwise brings or attempt to bring into hatred or contempt, right, or excites or attempt to excite. It's not that you are exciting. Even if you're attempting to excite disaffection towards the government established by law, in shall be punished with imprisonment for life, to which may be added, or with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, to which fine may be added, or with fine, right? This is the definition, or there has been a continuous demand to make certain changes in this definition as well, right? So coming back to our slide, so what are the arguments which support section 124A, which will also cover the question that why do we need it? See, government, especially the government authorities, are always of the opinion that section 124A of IPC has its utility in combating anti-national, ठीक है, या फिर secessionist जो tendencies होती हैं, या terrorist activities जो होती हैं, terrorist elements जो होते हैं, उनको कहीं ना कहीं combat करने के लिए this law is very very helpful, has been very very helpful since ages. It also protects the elected government from attempt to overthrow the government with violence and illegal means. And along with that, if contempt of court invites penal actions, the contempt of government should also attract punishment. So government authorities, again, they say कि अगर contempt of court हो सकता है, तो contempt of government भी होना चाहिए, right? But again, there is definitely a need of proper definition, and there is also need of the proper usage of it, because we have seen कि इसका use से ज़्यादा misuse किया जाता है, right? So this must be stopped. There should be a proper definition, there should be a proper implementation, the proper procedure, and should not be misused. If this does not happen, if we could make sure the misuse is not happening, it is it could be there, right? But misuse ki wajah se hi we are, a lot of people are not in really favor of this. What does CJI has to say about this? He says that it is a colonial era law जो महात्मा गांधी पे और तिलक पे भी यूज हुआ था, ठीक है? उसके बाद he says that 70 years हो गए हैं इंडिपेंडेंस को, it is no more necessary, right? And also sedition law अलग से ज़रूरत नहीं है इसकी. This is what the court says, because there are many laws which deals with the particular crimes, right? तो इस particular law की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है, right? So but the government says that misuse of law could be curtailed if the court laid down parameters for its use as it was originally intended. Government says that okay, government says कि अगर इसका misuse नहीं होता है, if you could put down the right parameters, that this is how exactly it should be used, this is how it exactly these all are the things which can't be done under the sedition 124A. This is of no harm to anybody, right? So this debate keeps on going, but our job is to list down the positives and negatives both, and finally conclude our topic and our answers with a positive conclusion. Up next we will start with economy. The first topic is river ranching program. So recently over 10,000 fish fingerlings of Indian major fishes, katla, rohu, mrigal, okay, they were released at in Ganga at Sangam nodes under the ranching program. Okay, so हमारे लिए important है to understand this particular program. What do we understand by river ranching? So basically fishes जब वो अपने when they are in their first stage of their birth, जब वो first stage में होती हैं, they are kept in captivity, right? They're taken and kept in captivity, and then they are finally released and harvested when they are adults, right? This is the brief and short definition of river ranching. Now the next question could be, why are we doing this? What is the need for this? So there is definitely a major need for river ranching in today's era. Why? Because of these following reasons. First is human population. We know that human population is increasing, right? So in order to meet the nutritional demand, we need fishes. So unka production zyada hona chahiye, and that is why we have come up with this river ranching program. Second, not just to satisfy the human population, but also to sustainably grow the fishes. So for their sustainable growth, right? Sustainable growth of what? Of fishes. We are also doing it, ठीक है? क्योंकि इसमें हम we are not exploiting them, ठीक है? हम उनको sustainably grow कर रहे हैं. So this is important for the riverine, their life also. Third is through this river ranching program and programs like this, we are trying to increase the farmers' income. Here, which farmers? The fish farmers' income, right? Farmers' income. Also, not just this, we are trying to increase our exports. Exports in what? In fish, या फिर fisheries, right? And also, we are also trying to increase the employment in this field by increasing the growth of fishes, right? So these are the things we are trying to achieve, okay, through river ranching programs. I hope it is clear to you now. All right, so river ranching program was introduced as a special activity under Pradhanmantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Matsya is related to fish, right? And we have already talked about why do we need such program or this program specifically. All right, moving ahead with our next topic, which is Indian Post Payment Bank, which came in 2008. Just 2-3 points you need to remember about it, nothing more than that. उसके अलावा नहीं ज़्यादा detail में जाना है. You should have an idea about it. So it was launched in 2018 with 100% government of India equity. Right now it is governed by which body? RBI. So this becomes really important factual point, whether RBI governs it or they'll give you a list of bodies in your option. So RBI is the body which governs Indian Post Payment Bank, right? 2018 was the year when it got launched. And what was the major purpose of it, as in why it actually came? So basically to boost the or to provide a fillip to less cash economy. तो इस चीज़ को लेस कैश इकोनॉमी को बूस्ट करने के लिए राइट वी केम अप विद दिस एंड ऑल्सो टू कंट्रीब्यूट द विजन ऑफ डिजिटल इंडिया जो हमने देखा है, इसी के लिए इसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए वी हैड कम अप विद इंडियन पोस्ट पेमेंट बैंक, नाउ गवर्न बाय RBI, राइट. Up next, we have labor force participation rate. Again, I intentionally put this topic so that you can remember 2-3 points regarding it, क्योंकि UPSC has now started asking about the trends. ठीक है, whether a particular thing is increasing or decreasing. तो एक trend analysis भी आपके लिए ज़रूरी है. Okay, so कुछ figures, कुछ facts हम इसमें देखेंगे. Just the facts you need to remember. So LFPR, labor force participation rate, essentially is the percentage of work age which is 15 years or older. Again, the first fact you need to remember, of population that is asking or that is seeking a job. It represents the demand for job in an economy, and it includes those who are employed and those who are unemployed, both. Right? This again becomes the second point which you need to remember. Why is it in news? Because India mein LFPR is not only lower than the other countries, but it is also falling. Okay? It is coming down even further. Right? The world, अगर हम कुछ statistics की बात करें, the world FPR is around 60%, and in India it has been sliding over last 10 years and has shrunk from 47% into 2016 to just 40%, like even 7% lesser in 2021, which is a great cause of a concern. And employment, we know, has become a really bigger issue in these days. So this figure, I feel you need to remember that LFPR is decreasing, right? और वर्ल्ड के कंपैरिजन में भी जो भी कुछ फिगर्स हैं, आप ये भी याद रख सकते हो. यू नेवर नो वो किस ट्रेंड से या किस तरीके से क्वेश्चन पूछ लें, राइट? Up next, again a very important topic, international relations, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So again, काफ़ी टाइम से न्यूज़ में है, न्यूज़ में रहेगा भी. We really don't know the future of CPEC, but we have to read it because it is in our syllabus. Okay, so what has happened recently? Pakistan new government has initiated a process to abolish this, the China CPEC authority, with planning minister saying it was a redundant organization that wasted resources and thwarted speedy implementation of the ambitious regional connectivity program, which is CPAC, which comes under BRI. ठीक है, CPAC की अगर हम बात करें, CPEC के बारे में जान लेते हैं. I'll take you to the map also, don't worry. I'll tell you the exact location which part are we talking about. So it is a 3,000 kilometer long China-Pakistan economic corridor which consists of highways, railways, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हम इसमें not हम बना रहे हैं, the China is making. So China का actually यही एक plan है with a lot of countries, be it Sri Lanka or Pakistan. Sri Lanka के केस में हमें पता ही है, what they have done with Hambantota port, and 99 years के लिए वो लीज पे ले लिया है, क्योंकि first they give you first they lure you for economic boost, for good employment in your country, and then everything fails, and then they eat you actually completely. So CPEC eventually aims at linking the city of Gwadar in southwestern Pakistan to China's northwestern region, Xinjiang, through a vast network of highways and railways. Let me just take you to the map so that you can have a better clarity. So Gwadar is here, Pakistan we were talking about, and it will connect it to this China, ठीक है, Xinjiang province, right? And how is it going to help China? यहाँ से northeast से, I mean northeast नहीं, I mean the eastern portion, Middle East I'm talking about. Beg your pardon, it's Middle East I'm talking about, right? Middle East se they will import the oil through this you can say corridor, right? Next question is, why is it a concern for India? Of course it will be a concern for us because it has to be a concern. It should be a concern because it is passing through our territory. Can you see? This is POK. Pakistan has illegally occupied it. This is our territory. So it should be a concern for us. If anybody is passing through our territory, especially the enemy countries, the alien countries, that should be a concern for us. That is why it is a concern. And I hope the mapping portion along with the context is clear to you. Up next, we have International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. All right. So IAEA news में इसलिए है because of a war which was going on between Russia and Ukraine. और Ukraine में there was a very important nuclear power plant, Chernobyl, जिसमें nuclear disaster also happened, if you remember. That is why it was in news, right? If we talk about this body, International Atomic Energy Agency, it is also called Atoms for Peace, and it came in 1957 within the United Nations family, right? And it reports to two bodies, right? Both to UNGA, which is United Nations General Assembly, and Security Council, which is UNSC, United Nations Security Council. If we talk about the headquarter, is situated in Vienna, which is Austria, and the functions is very simple. The function of IAEA is to provide the safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear weapons across the world. So it is to provide safe, secure, and peaceful usage or use of nuclear weapons, right, across the world. That is why this body was formed. If we talk about certain programs which comes under IAEA, which could be a factual question in your prelims examination, so you can remember the names. The first is Program of Action for Cancer Therapy. Next, we have Human Health Program. Then we have Water Availability Enhancement Project. And the fourth project is International Project on Innovation Nuclear Reactor and Fuel Cycle 2000. Right? So, Chernobyl nuclear power plant actually इसीलिए भी news में था because during the war Russia had captured it. हालांकि वो अभी ठीक हो गया है, अभी उन्होंने दे दिया है वापस, but they had captured it, and since then it was in news. So it becomes for us to read about it, about the bodies related to it, and that is why we had come up with IAEA. It is anyways very important. So nuclear weapons की जब भी बात होती है, we always read about IAEA as well. All right? चलिए. So let me just show you this Chernobyl, where exactly it is situated. This is a map of Ukraine. This is Ukraine's map. This is Crimea situated over here, which Russia annexed it. Okay, Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. You all must be aware of this, right? Okay, this is Russia bordering Ukraine. Okay, this over here is Chernobyl at the northern part of it, and we were talking about this place. तो अगर आप mapping portion से किसी भी चीज़ को connect करके पढ़ते, it becomes very easier for you to remember it, right? Okay, this is Belarus. Again, a bordering country. This is Black Sea, a very important topic for our examination perspective. You must remember the bordering countries of Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea for your examination, right? So this was a brief map of the Chernobyl plant. There are other nuclear power plants also in Ukraine, like for example, I'm sorry, I don't think I can pronounce the name of that, but you can see it for examination perspective. This is only important, so आपको सब कुछ पढ़ने की ज़रूरत भी नहीं है, but just to give you a little idea about it. Next, Falkland Dispute. Falkland Dispute का context ही is everything. Let me tell you about Falkland Island disputes, but before that, I want all of you to look at this map so that you can understand where exactly, which area exactly we are talking about. So we're talking about this South American region, where you will see Argentina here, Chile here, right? I think now you can connect with me. So हम इस area की बात कर रहे हैं. इसी area के south में you will see this portion here. This is Falkland Islands, right? अगर आपने geography में ocean currents भी पढ़े होंगे, तो Falkland is a current also, is a cold current, right? Is a cold current, cold oceanic current, right? So there also you must have read about it. So these are Falkland Islands we are talking about. Now what exactly is the dispute of Falkland Islands? First thing, आप ये याद रखें कि this is the dispute between two countries, which is Argentina and UK, Britain, whatever you call it, right? So this is a dispute between Argentina and Britain, okay? But what exactly is the dispute? To understand the dispute, you need to go back to 1765. What had happened in 1765? Actually, Britain ने ये Falkland Islands को, occupy कर लिया था, right? But after some time, what happened? Ki this Argentina, as you can see here, was at that time used to be a colony of Spain. This was not independent. This used to be a colony of Spain. और Spain ने Britishers से ये Falkland Islands को ले लिया, right? But after few years, Spain, left these islands और वो चले गए. But what Britishers did, they came back here again, right? Now, what is the present situation? Argentina says that this is not a colonization era. We are living in a decolonization era. So you do not have any rights to this property. This belongs to us. The island belongs to us. But Britain is of the opinion that since we are operating it, we are living here for so many years, this island belongs to us. So this basically keeps, the clashes between both the countries keeps happening. But what you need to remember is that this clash is between two countries. Now, Argentina and Britain, they can give you another option, which is Spain. Spain definitely is related to it, but it was related only till the time Argentina was a colony of Spain, not any, but Argentina, it is not anymore a country, a colony of Spain. So Spain is out of the scene now. But Argentina and Britain, you have to remember, right? So this map, I think, is also clear to you. Positions are very, very important. They can directly ask you कि Falkland Islands कहाँ पर हैं. शायद वो issue ना पूछें, शायद वो location पूछ लें. So positions are always important. Up next is Panchayati Raj Ministry. Panchayati Raj Ministry और UNDP में एक pact sign हुआ है on sustainable development goals. We will understand what is that pact. We will also see कि पंचायती राज PRI, पंचायती राज institutions की क्या significance है, that like how they are so much important that UNDP has signed this pact with PRIs. So to answer, let me just answer this question only first. PRIs are very, very important. We all know that they are they provide us the last mile connectivity in our country with the rural population, and we know around 60 plus population of our country lives in the rural areas. So it is very important that we keep the PRIs in the scenario whenever we are thinking of implementing something. PRI really plays an important role, and so are they playing. They are playing like really important role in implementing the SDG goal, which is Sustainable Development Goals of UNDP, right? अगर हम कुछ UNDP के बारे में बात करें, it provides the advice, training, and it also grants support to the developing countries. और developing countries में भी जो least developed countries होती हैं, उन पे इनका सबसे ज़्यादा focus होता है. Along with that, it also promotes the technical and investment cooperation among nations. And if we talk about the executive board of UNDP, is made up of representatives from 36 countries around the world. और जो chair, जो rotating basis पे वो serve करते हैं. कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस की बात करें अगर हम, सो वॉलंटरी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस इसमें आते हैं, एंड यूएनडीपी इज कंसिडर्ड एज एन एग्जीक्यूटिव बोर्ड विद इन द यूएनजीईए विच इज यूनाइटेड नेशंस जनरल असेंबली, एंड द रिपोर्ट विच इज प्रिपेयर्ड बाय और रिलीज्ड बाय यूएनडीपी इज ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट रिपोर्ट, अ very important report. I think it has been asked by UPSC also, very important. And like I've told you, since why PRIs, because PRIs provide the last mile connectivity and is very helpful when we talk about implementing any scheme belonging to any ministry or any international organization. PRIs are a very important tool. Since we have talked about SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals, let me tell you that they're very important. You must remember all the 17 goals. We have 17 SDGs. We have 17 SDGs, right? I want all of you to today only try to learn all the SDGs. Really important. Directly aa sakte hain. Like for example, I'll tell you some of them, not so first talks about no poverty, right? Second talks about zero hunger. Goal number 2. 3 talks about health and well-being. All right. 4th talks about, I think 4th is related to, I'm not sure, but it is related to something related to education, right? 5 talks about gender equality, right? 6 talks about clean water and sanitation. अगर मैंने याद किया है तो आई एम श्योर आप सब भी याद कर सकते हो, राइट? एंड देन यू हैव 7, 8, 9, 10 एंड सो ऑन, ठीक है? 14 की अगर मैं बात करूँ, देयर आर सो मैनी इन बिटवीन. 14 की अगर मैं बात करूँ तो दिस टॉक्स अबाउट लाइफ अंडर वाटर, राइट? 15 talks about life on land. Then rest 16, 17 also talks about peace and prosperity and all those things. My point is that you have to remember it. All right? Chaliye. Moving ahead. Kuril Islands. Again, 2 things you need to remember. That what is, not even 2 things. I feel just one thing you need to remember. That this dispute is between which 2 countries? And of course, location we will also see. But those 2 countries you have to remember. And those 2 countries in Kuril Islands case is Japan and Russia. So this dispute, the entire dispute belongs to Japan and Russia. Kuril Islands, Japan and Russia. Right? Japan and Russia. Japan, not plus, it should be versus Russia. Let me take you to the map for your better clarity. Hanji. So this is the world map. I want all of you to first look at this map. This is the world map और यहाँ पर इस region की हम बात कर रहे हैं. If we expand it, this becomes like this. This is the Russian portion. This is Japan, as we can see. This is Russia over here. और इन दोनों के बीच में ही this island, if you can see, is the Kuril Islands, right? In the Pacific Ocean, if we zoom it in. So this is the area we were talking about. These are the islands we are talking about. So this is basically an archipelago of around 56 islands, right, which has been controlled by Moscow since being seized by the Soviet troops in 1945, and now Japan says that it belongs to us, and hence a dispute between both the countries, right? The dispute surrounds the 4th southernmost islands, which Japan calls the Northern Territories. Okay, and this is again the same map wherein you can see this is the Sea of Okhotsk and this is Kamchatka Peninsula. यहाँ पर ये Kuril Islands है, which are the disputed islands between these 2 countries. So the map is something really important you must remember, right? So as I've told you, that Japan claims those territories as the Northern Territories, and these are the set of 4 islands or the 4 territories between the Sea of Okhotsk and the Pacific Ocean near the north of Japan's northernmost prefecture. Okay, both Moscow and Tokyo claims the sovereignty over them, though the islands have been under Russian control since the end of World War II, but Japan also claims its sovereignty over the islands, Right. Up next, we have a very interesting topic belongs to environment and ecology. This is Government Order Number 111 or GO 111. What is it? Name sounds really interesting, but what exactly is it? So a few years ago, around 25 years ago, in 1996, what had happened? Andhra Pradesh had passed a law which is Andhra Pradesh government passed an order which is here this GO stands for government order. This is government order, right? Government order number 111. So they passed the order to prohibit setting up of industry or any kind of development activities over to lakes or the reservoirs, you can say, right? One was Usman Sagar and second was Himayat Sagar Lake, okay? So that the quality of water should not get hampered, they should not get polluted, and the people of the state should, should get proper amount of water, या फिर उन्हें कोई problem नहीं होनी चाहिए. This was the reason behind passing this law. Now what has presently happened? अभी इस order को वापस ले लिया गया है. That is why it has become a very controversial topic and is in news. We will understand what is that controversy and why the Telangana government has done this. So as I've told you that environmentalists and activists, they are opposing it कि आपने क्यों वापस लिया है, but the Telangana government is of the opinion that since now we have actually what used to happen earlier, that these two lakes used to be the major source of water for the people of that state. Okay, so it was very, very important for the government as well to protect them, okay? Not to get them, to protect them from the pollution and the other activities. इसीलिए उनके 10 kilometers के radius में कोई भी construction activities, कोई भी development activities allowed नहीं थी. But even after that, we have witnessed a lot of breaches in the order they have passed, okay? But now, though, Telangana government has removed it only, right? And because Telangana government is of the opinion, they say that now we are no more dependent upon only these two bodies. We have alternatives as well. So now the developmental activities can be started in these two regions. And of course, a lot of people, especially the environmentalists and people of that area, that particular area, are opposing it. So this is the entire issue behind the GO 111. I hope this topic is clear to you. And the reservoirs we were talking about were created by building dams on the Musi River, which is a major tributary of River Krishna. Again, the rivers and the tributaries, again, you have to remember, UPSC can ask you questions on this. So Musi River is a major tributary of Krishna River. और ये किया भी क्यों था? So that Hyderabad could be protected from the floods, right? I think we have dealt with this topic in a pretty much like decent manner. Okay, now next up we have invasive species, threatened wildlife habitats of Western Ghats. Invasive species या फिर species in news, very important topic. जो भी species रहती हैं, I want all of you to jot them in your make notes of them, jot them down, right? They can give you any random name and random as in which were in news, of course. कुछ भी ऐसे नहीं पूछ लेंगे, but news में if it is there, you must make a note of it. So this invasive species called Senna spectabilis. Okay, it is an invasive species found in Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, again Western Ghats. Okay. What are the concerns related to it? There are many concerns because I'll tell you what are the few concerns, and this is not just the concern related to this particular invasive species, but agar koi bhi concern aata hai in your examination that what are the concerns related to the invasive species, you can any time quote them. But before that I want to tell you at least the meaning of invasive species, then we will move to what disasters they cause. But first, what are invasive species? Invasive species are basically any alien species or any alien plant or animal or organism, any species which are not native to that particular ecosystem or which are not native to that particular place, and they can harm that particular nature or the ecosystem or the forest or wherever they are present, right? So native species, harmful species होती हैं, आप इससे याद रख सकते हैं. Sorry, invasive species are the harmful species, right? Now what are the concerns, what are the exact concerns. Now that we've understood that yes, they are harmful, but how exactly they can cause the disaster, or how exactly they're harmful. So basically जो भी native species होती हैं, जो उस particular area में रहती हैं, native species के लिए ये harmful हो सकती हैं. नेटिव स्पीशीज़ के लिए, नेटिव स्पीशीज़ जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल उस एरिया में जहाँ हमारा जो प्रेजेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट है उसकी बात कर रहे हैं, इट कुड बी हार्मफुल फॉर एलिफेंट्स, टाइगर्स, डियर, right? A lot of species are found in Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, we all know. So they can be harmful for the native species living in that particular ecosystem for years, right? Next, have you heard of this name called carrying capacity? Carrying capacity. Do you know what carrying capacity is? So carrying capacity, as the name indicates, कि कुछ भी carry करने की capacity, ठीक है? In this case, we are talking about the carrying capacity of forest. Now, what do we mean by carrying capacity of forest? कि forest कितनी species को sustainably carry कर सकता है, ठीक है? कि how much or how much species a particular forest can sustain, right? अपने resources utilize करवा के, ठीक है? This is what carrying capacity. तो invasive species के आने की वजह से the carrying capacity is also getting decreased, right? So carrying capacity is also getting decreased. So these are few points which you can remember pertaining to the concerns relating to the invasive species. Along with that, there are other impacts as well. What are those impacts of invasive species? First is they reduce the biodiversity, they decreased availability and quality of key natural resources, right? Water shortage हो जाती है, increased frequency of wild fires and floodings, and pollution caused by overuse of chemicals to control the infestation. If there is any invasive species present in any particular reserve or forest, we will try to eliminate them. We will use more and more chemicals to remove them, which in turn will lead to increasing the pollution. So Sena spectabilis का ये आप photo देख सकते हैं. That is how it looks, right? I don't know if any of you belongs to that region, must have seen this as well, right? Up next we have a next topic, science and technology, meteor shower. Meteor shower, asteroids, meteoroids, comets, ये सब आपने बहुत बार सुने होंगे. Today I am going to clear everything, or we will not just read about meteor shower, but I will also tell you the differences between meteor, comets, asteroids, meteoroids and everything, okay? So the present context is that we have seen that this meteor shower which peaked in Indian skies on April 22nd and will continuously pass through till April 29, it was in news. For us, what is important is to understand what exactly they are and what are the differences they have with all these, like I've told you. ठीक है, इनमें क्या differences होते हैं? So we need to move to the slide to understand. Let's start with first one, the comet. जब हम comet की बात करते हैं, you need to remember it with ice. ठीक है? So I'm just telling you how to remember it. Comet is ice, rock and dust which develops a bright comma and tail when it is closer to the sun. So you can remember it with that it is a composition of ice, rock and dust. Ice भी आप याद रखोगे तो you can reach to your correct answer. Next we have micrometeoroid. Although this is not so important, I'll tell you which all are important, but micrometeoroid is not that important, but still you can remember it. It is a bit of rock or ice from the size of a speck of dust to grain of sand. ये इतना छोटा होता है. That is why it is micrometeoroid also. Next we have meteoroid. This is really, really important. This R-I-T-E, right? And the spelling difference you need to remember. ये इस पे R-O-I-D है. This is R-I-T-E. The spelling difference is very important क्योंकि यही दो हैं जिनके बीच में हम confuse होते हैं. That what is meteoroid and what is meteoroid. They even when I'm pronouncing them, they sound similar only. Anyways, so meteoroid is It is basically an asteroid kind of that survive its trip to Earth's surface. Here the spelling mistake is there, but never mind. So they survive to Earth's surface. जो Earth's surface तक आ जाते हैं are called meteoroids, right? When we talk about meteoroid, they are the piece of rock or from the space dust or the metals from space dust up to boulders in size. Size, I don't think you need to remember that much, but just that thin line you need to understand between these words. Next is bolide. And this is an exceptionally bright fireball. So whenever there is an exceptionally brightness or something given in your option, understand that they are talking about bolide. It is a fireball that ends with the meteoroid or asteroid exploding, and this is how it looks, as you can see over here. All right, next we have is meteor, जिसके बारे में हम अभी बात भी की है हमने, which is our present context too. Meteor is a streak of light in the sky produced by a meteoroid entering the atmosphere either on its own or as a part of meteor shower. Now, what is meteor shower? Just have a look at this. This is meteor shower, which we have noticed as well in the month of April, and that is why it was in news. That is how it looks, meteor shower, right? Okay, asteroid, if we talk about, I think it's very easy. It is a large object. The size of asteroids is larger compared to them, right? Mainly composed of rocks and metal with some ice, okay? So, and fireball, a meteor that is at least as bright as a planet Venus, right? So these are some of the distinction between these concepts, okay? So now I hope meteor shower and these terms are also clear to you. And again, beautiful meteor shower if you want to see. Okay, up next we have dengue fever. ये भी टाइम भी आने वाला है डेंगी फीवर का, so हमारे लिए भी इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है पढ़ना इसके बारे में. And not just for the UPSC perspective, but I think it is very important even generally for us to understand about this fever and especially the preventions and precautions. I'll tell you everything. So Rajasthan has reported 467 cases. That was the reason it was in news. Now, what is the major reasons for the outbreak of the dengue in the state? But before that, you must understand dengue कैसे spread होता है. There is a female Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the cause of spread. I mean, which causes the spread of the dengue, right? And ये day breeder होती है, हमें पता है day breeder होती है. ठीक है, so this also you can remember. Now let us look some of the reasons कि ये उस state में क्यों फैला है, and not just in that state, why in general it spreads. Let us see some of the reasons. First is inadequate source reduction of mosquito breeding sites and adult control measures. Next we have measures to control in that area are ignored. तो proper measures ही नहीं लिए गए हैं to control the spread of dengue fever. Next is unprecedented human population growth. Of course, this is not just present in Rajasthan, but I feel this is present in the entire country. So this must also be addressed on time. And dengue is not the only outcome of it. I feel there are so many things which are a great cause of a concern due to this population growth. Next we have unplanned and rapid urbanization. उसके बाद I think inadequate waste management is one of the most important causes. Inadequate waste management होता है जिसकी वजह से pit holes होते हैं आपके, ठीक है, या फिर बहुत सारे ऐसे stagnant waters होते हैं जो आपके ऐसे ही रहते हैं across the country. We all must have noticed them around us, जहाँ पर ये these mosquito breeds. So all those things should be prevented. Now let us talk a little more about it, wherein I'll be telling you some facts and some statistics. So each year, close to 50 million dengue infections get reported globally, and out of these, जो 70% होते हैं, they belong to Asia. ठीक है? Okay. Next is India contributes around 34 and 40% of cases. Asia maybe. So 50 million में से 70% belongs to Asia, and out of that 70% also 40%, 34 to 40% is something we are contributing as a country, which is of course needs to be cured. Next is, if we talk about the first case जो कि इंडिया में विटनेस हुआ था was it way back in 1946, and if you talk about certain preventions and precautions जो कि again I think is very important. So we need to keep our environment and keep our homes very clean. There shouldn't be any stagnant water around us, right? And we should use mosquito repellent and medicated screens or coils or spray जो भी आते हैं आसपास हमें वो रखने चाहिए, and especially at the day because they bite in the day only. Next we have observe dry day once a week. So and then we have keep our drains well maintained, अच्छे से हमें उनको रखना चाहिए. There shouldn't be any chokes या ऐसा कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, choking नहीं होनी चाहिए. So we need to repair these things as well, and we should not do the self medication जैसे हमारे country में बहुत सारे लोग करते हैं. So this self medication, not just in dengue, self medication should be avoided in any of the diseases, any of the preventive any of the measures. Avoid self medication and consult a general practitioner if the fever persists for more than 48 hours. All right, चलिए. Up next we have BharatNet project. काफ़ी पुराना टॉपिक है, इम्पॉर्टेंट भी है, काफ़ी डीले भी इस प्रोजेक्ट में हुए हैं, इसलिए ये न्यूज़ में भी रहता है. बट वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड कि इसकी ज़रूरत हमें क्या पड़ी. व्हाट इज़ भारत नेट? फर्स्ट विल अंडरस्टैंड दैट, विल ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड इसकी ज़रूरत हमें क्या है, एंड देन विल ऑल्सो सी सम ऑफ द यूजेस ऑफ इट. फर्स्ट, भारत नेट प्रोजेक्ट, इट वॉज लॉन्च्ड इन 2011. एज आई टोल्ड यू, काफ़ी पुराना टॉपिक है, डिलेज इसमें काफ़ी सारे होते हैं, इसलिए न्यूज़ में भी रहता है. 2011 में इट वॉज ओरिजिनली लॉन्च्ड एज, इसका पहले नाम था NOFN, which is National Optical Fiber Network, which was later renamed as BharatNet project. So this is basically to digitalize our country. ठीक है? To provide the connectivity to 2.5 lakh gram panchayats through the optical fibers through digitalization. Basically digitalization को increase करने के लिए ये एक flagship mission है, implemented by Bharat Broadband Network Limited, BBNL. This you have to remember, a factual point could be asked in your prelims examination. Next is, the objective is to facilitate so many things, so many digitalizations, like for example e-governance, e-health, e-education, कि बहुत सारे रूरल एरियाज़ में जो बच्चे होते हैं जहाँ पर एजुकेशन हम नहीं पहुँचा पाते हैं, तो ई-एजुकेशन के माध्यम से वी कैन रीच अप टू दोज children as well. Then e-banking, again रूरल या फिर रिमोट एरियाज़ में बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग होते हैं जहाँ पर जो बैंकिंग सर्विसेज नहीं यूटिलाइज कर पाते हैं, तो स्पेशली फॉर देम e-banking services or the usage of BharatNet would be really, really helpful. Next we have internet and other services to rural and the remote India. Again, internet is behind all of the facilities we are providing in BharatNet project, right? So if you talk about ये काफ़ी ब्रॉडबैंड सर्विसेज भी आपको इसमें मिलेंगी, वाईफाई आई मीन हॉटस्पॉट फैसिलिटीज़ भी आपको मिलेंगी, वाईफाई फैसिलिटीज़ भी आपको इसमें मिलेंगी, राइट? एंड इट विल ऑल्सो गिव यू अ काइंड ऑफ अ क्वालिटी, यू कैन से quality internet or quality facilities you will get pertaining in terms of the internet or e-services you will be getting. Okay, public internet access program comes under BharatNet project. Along with that, information for everyone will be there. Universal access to phones will be there. IT jobs for will be there. So this is basically, ये सब क्या signify करते हैं, that we through this program, under this program, are trying to bridge the gap between the rural, to the rural and the remote areas through digitalizing them as well using this optical fiber technology. All right, but again there are certain issues with it, because issues हैं, काफ़ी सारे issues हैं. Let me just, if you talk about the issues of BharatNet, BharatNet project, first issue could be transparency. Transparency issues are there. Transparency in what? In bidding process. बिडिंग के टाइम पे ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं देखी जाती है कई बारी. दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द इश्यूज. सेकेंड इज इम्प्लीमेंटेशन प्रॉब्लम. Implementation. 2011 was the year when it got launched, and now we are standing in 2022. Implementation बहुत ज़्यादा lag कर रहा है. So this is one of the problems, and this is, I think, is not the problem with the BharatNet project. I feel this is one of the major problems in a lot of projects which are running in our country. So this should be really, I feel, should be, should be dealt with properly. We should deal with it. Next could be, apart from implementation, I feel awareness. Awareness you can write. Okay? People are not that much educated. They do not know, they do not have proper education, they do not have proper awareness as to how to, what are the facilities which are being provided to them, what are the, and how to use those facilities. So awareness का एक problem है. Awareness के लिए we need to educate them. Right? So these are some of the points you can quote in your mains examination, and I feel कि बहुत सारे ऐसे points होते हैं which are similar for every topic. Like for example, transparency is the point जो आप बहुत सारे topics में लिख सकते हो as an issue, right? Then also as a solution that transparency should be there, right? Awareness again is one point which you can mention in a lot of questions. कि awareness होनी चाहिए, education proper होनी चाहिए for the better implementation. Implementation again could be a problem as well as a solution. I mean, you can conclude it that there should be a better implementation of things. तो कुछ बहुत similar points होते हैं, and while you're preparing for your mains, you must make those similar points. The body and the advantages and disadvantages and conclusions. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन के सिमिलर पॉइंट्स ही आपको मिलेंगे, तो वो आपको तैयार रखने चाहिए बिफोर योर मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, बिफोर यू राइट योर मेंस. नेक्स्ट इज नासा's लूसी मिशन. अगेन नथिंग मच यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. आपको सिर्फ इतना याद रखना है कि किसका मिशन है, तो ये तो आपको क्लियर ही हो रहा है दैट दिस इज अ मिशन ऑफ नासा. ठीक है, नासा का ये मिशन है, बट व्हाट दिस मिशन इज ऑल अबाउट. सो जस्ट टू थिंग्स यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. कहाँ से ये बिलोंग करता है एंड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दिस मिशन इज ऑल अबाउट. जस्ट द टू थिंग्स यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. फर्स्ट इज first we've already dealt with that it belongs to NASA. Next is what is it. So this is the first mission to explore the Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. तो जुपिटर के जो भी एस्टेरॉइड्स हैं उनको एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए, उनकी कॉम्पोजिशन को पढ़ने के लिए, राइट. सो द एम बेसिकली इज टू रीड और टू सर्च द कॉम्पोजिशन of asteroids, especially the Jupiter's asteroid Trojan we are talking about. ठीक है, तो इसके कॉम्पोजिशन को अच्छे से स्टडी करने के लिए दिस मिशन हैज बिन लॉन्च्ड. सो इट इज एस्टिमेटेड टू बी over 12 years long, during the course of which the spacecraft will visit 8 asteroids covering a distance of about 6.3 billion kilometers to deepen the understanding of young solar system. Let me just show you in this, show this to you. This is the asteroid belt, as you can see here. Asteroid belt we all know lies between Mars and Jupiter, right? और जो ट्रोजन एस्टेरॉयड की हम बात कर रहे हैं, जहाँ जिसको लूसी मिशन जो है वो रीड करेगा, इज हियर एज यू कैन सी, लाइज ओवर हियर, राइट, एट जुपिटर. ठीक है, इसी के लिए वी हैव सेंड दैट मिशन, राइट. सो दिस मच ओनली यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. मूविंग अहेड, up next we have hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is a topic which was in news, but I thought why not to cover all the hepatitis and the differences, which is again important क्योंकि ज़रूरी नहीं है that UPSC will ask about hepatitis B only. If hepatitis B in news, they can ask you about C, they can ask you about D. So I have prepared a chart for you wherein I'll be wherein you will be reading about the differences between all the types of hepatitis. Let me directly take you to that. Yeah, so this is it. Hepatitis A, B, C, D and E. If you see, there are so many similarities between hepatitis A and hepatitis E. Let me just talk about these two only, then we will read about B, C and D as well, but let me just focus upon A and E सबसे पहले. So A, the source of infection is feces. Even in E, the source of infection is feces. If we talk about the route of transmission, it is fecal oral, again fecal oral, right? It is a chronic infection. No, it is not a chronic infection. E भी chronic infection नहीं है. अगर हम prevention की बात करें, so pre या फिर post exposure immunization will work. Here we need to ensure that we are drinking a quality and a safe water. That's the prevention of it, right? Now let us see, and I feel hepatitis B, C and D are very important. ठीक है, काफ़ी important है और threatening भी है यही, तो ये काफ़ी important है. The source of the spread is blood और द ब्लड डिराइव बॉडी या फिर बॉडी फ्लूइड्स जो होते हैं उनसे ये स्प्रेड होता है. सेम गोज विद सी, बॉडी फ्लूइड्स, एंड सेम गोज विद डी, बॉडी फ्लूइड्स एंड ब्लड. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द रूट ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन, इट सेज परक्यूटेनस या फिर परम्यूकोसल, विच मीन्स जो निडल्स के थ्रू, इंजेक्शंस में जो निडल्स होती हैं उसके थ्रू जो स्प्रेड होता है. ठीक है, you can say, ठीक है, this is just one of the example. There are many other example of this percutaneous, but needles आप एक example समझ लीजिए. Same goes with C and same goes with D. Is I mean all of them, all three of them are chronic infections. If we talk about prevention, तो hepatitis B का जो prevention है, pre and post exposure of immunization is the you can say is the prevention. If you talk about C, blood donor screening या फिर risk behavior modification, और risk behavior modification ही D का भी prevention है, else there is no other prevention for both of them, right? So this chart I feel is really important. You can take a screenshot of it or you can write down the differences. अगर आपको ये चार्ट भी याद रह गया, I'm sure you'll be able to reach up to your right answer in your examination. All right. Up next, we have Karnataka set 2027 target for to become malaria free. Karnataka. So first thing, the first question which arises here, that which state did this? So it was Karnataka. जो 2030 का actually हमारा national target है कि हमें malaria free 2030 तक होना है. और Karnataka has decided to do it even before the national target, which is by 2027. All right. So this fact you must remember. Apart from that, of course, malaria के बारे में तो पढ़ना ही है. It is a life-threatening disease. This could be the first statement in your UPSC examination, क्योंकि शायद मलेरिया से आपको लगेगा as if it is not a life-threatening disease, but it is a life-threatening disease. It is caused by what? Caused by a parasite that are transmitted to people through the bites of, again, a female mosquito, which is Anopheles. अगर आपको याद हो डेंगू के केस में we read what? Aedes aegypti. Here it is Anopheles mosquito. ठीक है. मलेरिया के कुछ स्टैटिस्टिक्स या फिर कुछ रीजन की बात करें जहाँ पर ये बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. सो इट इज़ एंडेमिक टू अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज. वहाँ पर भी where Nigeria, Congo, Tanzania, Mozambique, Niger and Burkina Faso are some of the countries which accounts for half of the yearly deaths when it comes to malaria. If we talk about India, children aged under we will talk about it later. But if we talk about it, if we talk about the age, so children under 5 years are the most vulnerable group which are affected through malaria. Okay? So, and they account for 67% of the deaths worldwide. Let us read this. Malaria we've read कैसे ये spread होता है. इस जो वेक्टर से जो स्प्रेड होता है, इस वेक्टर की कुछ वेराइटीज़ होती हैं. इस वेक्टर की जो वेराइटीज़ हैं, फर्स्ट इज प्लाज्मोडियम फैल्सिपेरम which is the most dangerous one. Then we have प्लाज्मोडियम मलेरिया, प्लाज्मोडियम वाइवेक्स, प्लाज्मोडियम ओवेल एंड प्लाज्मोडियम नोलेस. ये बायोलॉजी में आप सबने जो भी जिनका भी बायो बैकग्राउंड है उन्होंने पढ़ा होगा ये. ठीक है. सिम्टम्स ऑफ मलेरिया इंक्लूड्स हेडेक, फटीग, नोजिया, मसल पेन एंड चिल्स. तो आपको फीवर भी आता है, राइट. एंड इफ यू टॉक अबाउट about the prevention. So vector control सबसे पहला and सबसे best control है कि vector को ही हमें control करने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए. Then insecticide treatment, mosquito nets, indoor residual spraying, वही जो डेंगू के जो भी हमने preventions पढ़े थे, all of them applies to the malaria prevention as well. Next is wear full clothes so that mosquito have no contact with your skin, तो वो bite ना कर पाए. Next we have developing known vector carrying mosquito species have also a potential to reduce the threat of malaria, right? Then we have RTS, and this is talking about the vaccine जो कि malaria के लिए है. But again, so these are few points, just the general points. आपको बहुत detailing में या you don't have to really get into the technicalities of the biology and the vectors and their all of that. Just the general things you must know about any particular disease for your examination. उतना ही पूछेगा आप UPSC. ठीक है? Next, a very very important battle, Bhima Koregaon battle. You all must have read in your history books. ठीक है? Bhima Koregaon battle. It was in news because Sharad Pawar, again NCP president, he filed an affidavit कि कुछ legal reforms होने चाहिए जो हमने अभी sedition law में भी पढ़ा. तो it was related to Bhima Koregaon case only, जो अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले sedition law के बारे में पढ़ा. But anyways, let us try and understand about the Bhima Koregaon battle. So Bhima Koregaon battle. So this place basically belongs to Pune, Maharashtra. It is believed that the two communities, Mahar community and Marathas, these two community, since always they are, they share a conflicting situation with each other. They are, they are in conflict with each other since always. If I talk about, if you remember the third Anglo-Maratha war, which happened during 1817 to 1819, ठीक है? इस battle के दौरान what Britishers did, they, उन्होंने the Mahar community, इस community को अपने साथ war में शामिल कर लिया, ठीक है? And क्योंकि ये शामिल हो गए, right, with the Britishers, right, and they fought a battle with Marathas, and Marathas got defeated. And since then, and that was the time when Britishers, when East India Company established their rule over Western India, and Marathas got declined. ठीक है? तभी से, that was the battle we keep studying about. And what has happened then in 1927? In 1927, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar visited this place. This place is a victory pillar. ठीक है? Victory pillar, which was established by East India Company as a memory to those who fought with East India Company, right? So victory pillar इन्होंने बनाया, and in 1927 Dr. B.R. Ambedkar visited this place, right, and visited this place, and the Mahar community, the Mahars gathered there, and they actually started celebrating it as a day of victory, right? Since then only, since like after 1927 I'm talking about. तो तब से ही ये यहाँ पर हर साल वहाँ इकट्ठा होते हैं, and they celebrate it as a victory over the oppression of Marathas, right? So this was a brief historical background of this battle. 1818, you have to remember the year as well. And Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1819. All right, up next we have section 144 CRPC. COVID के time में भी section 144 का काफ़ी use हुआ है, and even after that it is in news. It always stays in news, hence become very important for examination. We will today understand some of the provisions under section 144. But before that, in a very simple word, let me tell you what section 144 is. 144 मतलब कुछ restrictions आपके ऊपर लगाए जाते हैं that you cannot unlawfully assemble at a place. Unlawfully is a very important term you need to remember. It does not say कि आप कहीं जा नहीं सकते, you cannot go to your work, you cannot assemble, but it says that there shouldn't be any unlawful assembly of, I think, of 4 or more people. It says that. So the colonial era law, which has been retained in the code, empowers the district magistrate. this authority, you have to remember, it empowers the district magistrate. और इसी की वजह से ये बहुत criticism में भी रहता है कि district magistrate को बहुत absolute powers दे दी गई हैं, which could be misused by the district magistrate. So district magistrate is the authority who decides whether this section 144 should be in place or not, right? So district magistrate or a subdivisional magistrate or any other executive magistrate empowered by the state government to issue orders to prevent and address urgent cases of apprehended danger. Apprehended danger, this word to be underlined, apprehended danger or nuisance. Apprehended danger, मुझे लगता है ये word यहाँ पर important इसीलिए है because you know there are so many words in our constitution, there are so many words in our laws जिनकी डेफिनेशन, जिनको डिफाइन करना बहुत मुश्किल है, ठीक है? उन्हीं में से एक वर्ड है एप्रीहेंडेड डेंजर, कि अगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट हैज दिस मियर अप्रीहेंशन दैट देयर कुड बी अ डेंजर ड्यू टू यू नो द असेंबली ऑफ दिस पर्सन और मे बी दिस ग्रुप, he or she can impose the section 144. But this mere apprehension is something which is really is not defined clearly. You can't define apprehension. What apprehend? It is very subjective. ठीक है, इसलिए ये काफ़ी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड वर्ड है और काफ़ी कॉन्ट्रोवर्सीज में भी रहता है बिकॉज इट इज़ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव. ठीक है, मे बी फॉर अ पर्सन ए mere danger could be something else, for person B mere danger could be something else. So these things I feel should not be decided upon mere apprehensions. There should be a genuine apprehension. If you have genuine facts, if you have genuine reasons to impose it, then only you should impose it. Otherwise the misuse should be prevented, just like the Sedition Law. Section 144 का भी misuse should be prevented, just like Sedition Law. If we talk about some of the provisions under Section 144 of CRPC, criminal procedure code, so the provision allows the magistrate, as I have told you, so district magistrate has the authority to direct any person to abstain from a certain act or to pass an order to with respect to a certain property in the possession or under the management of that person. Next, this usually means restriction on movement, carrying arms. Okay, like I've told you, these are the terms. ऐसा नहीं है that you can't go to your office, you can't do your work, you can't really assemble, but there shouldn't be, you shouldn't be carrying arms, there shouldn't be any unlawful assembly नहीं होनी चाहिए. ठीक है, it is generally understood that an assembly of 4 or more people should be prohibited under section 144. Now what is the duration? If we talk about duration is generally 2 months, कि आप 2 महीनों के लिए section 144 लगा सकते हो. But if the state government says or if the state government requires that it should be extended from 2 months, they can do it, but it can't be extended more than 6 months. 6 महीने से ज़्यादा तो किसी भी हालत में you can't extend section 144 CRPC. ठीक है, क्योंकि फिर बहुत ही impact हो जाएगा public life इस चीज़ की वजह से, right? So 2 months is the minimum and 6 months is the maximum, right? Okay, criticism, the biggest criticism is misuse, and I have told you first is misuse, then we have okay, first criticism would be misuse of it. Second is magistrate. Critiques are of the opinion कि उनको बहुत absolute powers दी गई हैं, which could be unjustifiably used by the magistrate, so it can be unjustifiable, right? These are some of the criticisms belong to section 144 CRPC. So usually seen as a law to ban protest in certain areas, ठीक है, under this section. And it got first introduced in 1861, and the law gives the power to the magistrate. We have done it, which could obstruct or cause annoyance or injury to any person lawfully employed or pose a danger to human life, health, safety and disturbance of the public tranquility. Then जब ऐसे issue होते हैं orders for 2 months at a time, and state government has also the power to extend it. These are again the repetitive provisions just for your revision. Next is certain rulings regarding the सेक्शन 144 CRPC. तो कुछ रूलिंग्स पढ़ लेते हैं, कुछ जजमेंट्स जो आए हैं वो पढ़ लेते हैं. वी विल टॉक अबाउट 1961 बाबूलाल केस वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इन दिस, एक्चुअली जब ये केस फाइल हुआ तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मना कर दिया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट रिफ्यूज्ड टू टेक डाउन दी, refused to strike down section 144. तो ऐसा नहीं है that nobody ever tried to repeal it or strike it down. They have since like we've been trying it since long, but Supreme Court at that time denied to strike down it. Then what happened in 1970, again this one is important, Madhu versus Subdivisional Magistrate case. Here the court says, the court gave a very important judgment. The court says कि जो magistrate के पास जो power है, right, the magistrate under section 144 is he does not have an ordinary power flowing from the administration, but a power used in a judicial manner and which can stand further judicial scrutiny as well. So these are not the absolute or the discretionary power, they stand a further judicial scrutiny as well. So these are not the normal powers, right? These are the special powers which are also subjected, which can also be subjected to the judicial scrutiny. This is what the court said in 1970 in Madhu versus SDM case, subdivisional magistrate, right? Chaliye, up next we have recent steps to prevent cyber breaches. साइबर काफ़ी न्यूज़ में होता है, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग आफ्टर कोविड. द ऑनलाइन थिंग्स एंड द साइबर ब्रीचेस एंड साइबर सिक्योरिटीज एंड ऑल दीज टॉपिक्स आर really important. You can even expect a question in your mains examination from this topic. Again, the context is India's nodal cybersecurity agency, which is CERT-in, that is Computer Emergency Response Team, which is a nodal agency for, to provide all the information and analyze all these things regarding the internet security. Okay? It analyzes things regarding internet security. It provides us advisories. It provides us guidelines regarding the internet security. So this is the nodal agency which works under which ministry? METI, Ministry of Electronics and Information. Okay? So it works under that. So all the service providers and intermediaries, data center providers या फिर corporates भी हैं या जितने भी government organization हैं, they have to report the cyber incidents within 6 hours of the detection. This is what one of the steps which has been taken recently, right? उसके अलावा the new directions require virtual asset exchange and custodian wallet providers to maintain records on KYC and financial transactions for a period of 5 years. And companies providing cloud या फिर virtual private जो भी VPN जो provide करते हैं will also have to register validated names, emails and IP address of these subscribers. तो subscribers की details भी होनी चाहिए. Again, one of the steps to get hold of this thing, the cyber breaches. Next, जो certain है said that these directions will enhance the overall cyber security postures of our country and guarantee safe and trusted internet in our country, which is very, very important. All right. Up next, we have global military expenditure. Global military expenditure, like I've told you, कि कुछ ऐसे topics होते हैं wherein you just need to analyze the trend. Or maybe you need to compare it with the world, how the world is going and where are we standing. तो उस comparison के लिए और उस trend के लिए we need to sometimes read a topic. This is one such topic. So global military expenditure, the total global military expenditure increased by 0.7%. We're talking about the world. We're talking about the world here, right? And actually this is published by a very important institute called Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute. Very, very important. ये जितनी भी reports release करता है, all those reports are also very important for a prelims examination. Make sure you remember them. The 5 largest spenders. This line is very important, and this is the only reason why I've put this topic in today's slide. So the 5 largest spender are United States, China, India. India is also here, okay? UK and Russia together accounts for 62% of the total spending or the total expenditure, right? India jo hai, India ki military spending is $76.6 billion, ranked third highest in the world. Again, this ranking you have to remember, we stand at the third position after United States and China, right? And this was up by 0.9% from 2020 and by 33% by 2012. 2012 से हम 33% increase कर चुके हैं, right? The US and China are alone accounting for 52%. Like I've told you, we stand at the third position and the first two positions are held by US and China. All right? Chaliye, so just this trend that we are at the third position and we've increased it by so and so, and the world, the global leaders have also increased it by so and so. So there's an increasing trend only. That's only you have to remember. All right, moving ahead. Social issues, and the topic is national curriculum framework, the last topic of our day. So let us first try and understand the context, then we will also see what is this national curriculum framework, and the most important topic which is related to this particular topic only, which is national education policy. We will touch upon some of the provisions of national education policy as well while reading this topic. So the context recently is the mandate document guideline for development of the NCF was recently released, और इसका जो background है वो NEP जो policy आई थी हमारी 2019 में जो आई थी, national education policy has they recommended or recommends the development of NCF, which is National Curriculum Framework. Actually ये है कि आप अपनी local language को promote करें, right? So that you stay rooted, right? And it also yeah. So these are some of the reasons behind it in 4 areas. First is school education, second is early childhood care, third is teacher education and adult education, right? अगर हम NCF की बात करें, NCF includes National Curriculum Framework for School Education, the National Curriculum Framework for Early Childhood, like we have read, right? The National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education and for Adult Education. तो ये 4 चीज़ें हैं which are the components of NCF, ठीक है? NCF which comes under NEP. NEP का एक ये target था. Okay. So if we talk about NEP, National Education Policy, let me just take you to this. So what does NEP says, or what was the existing academic structure and what has been amended, or what हम नया क्या लेके आए हैं in National Education Policy of 2019. Okay, so earlier हम सबने जो अपना स्कूलिंग करा है which was 10+2, ठीक है, 10th तक होता था and then 11th and 12th we used to study, ठीक है, हम सबने ऐसे ही पढ़ा है. But now what has happened is it has changed into 5+3+3+4. What is 5 here? This 5 has been further divided into 3 and 2. What is this 3? The 3 years will be given to, you know, Anganwadis and preschool में बच्चा जाएगा from age group 3 to 6. This 3 is that, जिसको हमने बोला है foundational stage. This 3+2 which is 5, we have named it as foundational stage क्योंकि यहाँ पर आपका foundation होगी. जैसे UPSC में भी we have foundation batch, similarly foundational stage. Then we have, I've told you foundational stage का ही ये part है. 2 साल जब आप पहुँच जाओगे class 1 and 2, right? And that would be from age 6 to 8. Then we have preparatory stage. Next, first is foundation, then we have preparatory stage. Preparatory stage में you will be, the age will be 8 to 11 years and the class would be 3 to 5. ठीक है, तो 3 साल आपके इसको दिए जाएंगे and then again 3 years will be given to middle stage wherein you will be, the child will be age of 11 to 14 years of age and the classes would be 6 to 8. So 3 years would be dedicatedly given to the middle stage जहाँ पर आपकी experimental learning पे focus करा जाएगा in science, mathematics, arts and other subjects. And what will happen in preparatory stage, they will prepare you or they will, you know, involve you in a lot of plays, डिस्कवरीज या फिर एक्टिविटी बेस्ड या इंटरैक्टिव सेशंस आपके कंडक्ट करे जाएंगे इन दी प्रेपरेटरी स्टेज. नेक्स्ट इज सेकेंडरी स्टेज, जहां पर आपके 4 साल डेडिकेट किए जाएंगे फ्रॉम क्लास 9 to 12 एंड एज ग्रुप 14 to 18. एंड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली विल हैपन इन सेकेंडरी स्टेज, देयर विल बी अ मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी स्टडी जहां पर आपकी क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग को, साइंटिफिक टेम्पर को एनहांस करा जाएगा, अलॉन्ग विद इट फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी एंड स्टूडेंट चॉइस ऑफ सब्जेक्ट. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. स्टूडेंट चॉइस ऑफ सब्जेक्ट का यहाँ पर मतलब है, आई एम श्योर आफ्टर 10th वी ऑल ईदर मस्ट हैव studied this thing, medical or non-medical or commerce or arts, right? We all belong to these four fields. But now we have this option. If suppose you like biology and at the same time you like history, पहले होता था हम बायोलॉजी और हिस्ट्री नहीं ले सकते थे साथ, बायोलॉजी और जोग्राफी साथ नहीं पढ़ सकते थे, बट नाउ वी हैव द ऑप्शन दैट वी कैन टेक एनी ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ आवर ओन इंटरेस्ट एंड वी कैन स्टडी इट, राइट? सो दिस is what it meant, that we can choose the subject of our interest, of our choice. Okay, so this is basically the framework, which is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Okay. Okay, now if we see some of the differences between the current system and the policy or the new policy. So current system में जो right to education था वो 1 to 8 class के लिए था, और you can say 6 to 14 years of age. We all read this in DPSP or in the polity we read, ठीक है? Right to education covers class 1 to 8 or 6 to 14 years of age. Now it has been extended from age 3 onwards till class 12. पहले 8 तक था, अभी 12 तक है, which is again a very good step. Next we have आंगनवाड़ी और जो pre-schools थे, they covered 3 to 6 age group, but the present policies says that integrated primary schools framework from 3 to age. तो integrated primary schools होंगे अब instead of this आंगनवाड़ीज and this, ठीक है? We have integrated things. Then we have focus on health and nutrition in आंगनवाड़ीज. यहाँ पर भी nutrition पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा focus करा गया है, चीज़ों को better किया गया है, चीज़ों को interlink किया गया है. Then rote learning, formal teaching होती थी pre-school में. Here there will be a focus on plays, discovery based learnings. As I've told you that साइंटिफिक टेम्पर, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग को एनहांस करने की कोशिश करी जाएगी इंस्टेड ऑफ द रोट लर्निंग, which is a part of a current system. Then WCD, Women and Child Development Ministry, oversees the Anganwadi system, but here MHRD will be the ministry, which will be the authority, which will be doing everything and seeing all the aspects of all the educational aspects rather, right? So this was about today's lecture. Hanji, this was about today's lecture, the 4th week of April current affairs. We are done with the 4th week and hence we are done with April. We'll start with May's current affairs very, very soon. I hope you're getting benefited from these current affairs and you're finding them helpful. Thank you so much.